Have you ever been in a situation where someone in power, like a teacher or a boss or even a spiritual leader, has put you down or made you feel really small or insignificant, and you just felt like something was off? What do you do in a situation like that? Are you intimidated because they're in a position that's more powerful? Or do you do something? Do you say nothing? Do you think they must just know what they're talking about and just take it? Do you speak up? Do you just walk away and find another spiritual leader, another teacher, another boss? Or do you start to doubt yourself and your instincts?
Yeah, oh my God. This is such an important topic, Teresa. And in today's video, we're going to help you with some practical tips and some scripts. And we're going to teach you what to do when you're faced with this common boundary challenge. One of the reasons that we love doing these videos and working together for you is that we both have very different backgrounds, but we both have a real love for boundaries. And you get not one, but two experts that help to guide you in the often confusing world of how to set healthy boundaries.
So true. I love boundaries. Sandy and I both love boundaries. My name is Teresa Byrne, and I'm the founder of In Power Living, and I teach people physical and emotional boundaries in relationships. My background is also as a self-defense and master martial arts instructor.
And I'm Sandy Weiner, and I'm a dating and love coach for single women over 40. I'm also the host of Last First Date Radio, and we are both the co-creators of the Boundaries for Beautiful Relationships program, which is going to be coming to you this March. Today's video is about people in high positions of authority who use their power to intimidate you or shame you or put you down. And this is a really tricky situation because most of us have been taught to respect or obey authority. So it can be hard to know how to handle this boundary crossing with grace.
So true. And I want to talk to you about the kind of fear reaction that this situation generates. So our bodies will almost always have an adrenal reaction when we're afraid. This, like a person in a position of power and an intimate relationship, really bring up our greatest fear reactions. Because back tribally, when we were a society, a person in a position of power could kick you out of the tribe, and therefore you would be isolated, excommunicated, shunned, and all kinds of horrible things would happen to you, like death. And this type of boundary reaction requires some additional cognitive and understanding processing because of the fear that comes up. Most of us don't want to address a spiritual leader, a guru, a boss who has done something inappropriate or uncomfortable to us. The fear that comes up around this is greater. So today we'll be sharing a personal story. We'll each share a personal story, and then we'll show you some options for what you can do the next time you're in a situation with somebody in a position of power who crosses your personal boundaries. It happens all the time. People assume spiritual teachers are somehow enlightened or they're better human beings. It's not at all the truth. In fact, one of my closest friends was a best-selling author and was also considered a spiritual guru at the time. And we'd been friends for several years, and she had started to traverse down mentally and became uncomfortably narcissistic is the word I'm going to use. She actually started to buy into her own belief systems. And what happened is that she thought she was the authority on all things. And so she went on the attack for anyone who questioned her or didn't believe what she was saying, which is really common with narcissists, if you're familiar with narcissists. And so myself, there were some things that were going on that I didn't approve of and that weren't okay. And in addressing that with her, she went on the offensive, called me a lot of different names, and posted things on the internet, which was kind of concerning. She had millions of fans, and she had many followers. And what was I going to do? Was I going to stand up to my friend who was also in a position of power? Or was I going to just curl up in a ball and accept it? What I chose to do, I had a script that I said over and over. And I, instead of telling people what had happened or where things had gone downhill or what I had called her out or questioned her on, I just said something very simple. The truth is the truth, and it will out itself. And I kept my head above water by just staying in the light. I never chose to go on the attack, and I never chose to address any of the things that I was being accused of, or any of the negative commentary. I just said the truth is the truth, and it will out itself.
Teresa, that is such a tough situation, and I love the motto, the truth is the truth and it will out itself. That kind of thing comes up a lot actually in divorces, you know, where somebody will badmouth somebody else and you choose to not engage in that kind of back and forth badmouthing. And karma's a bitch, you know. Really, you take the high road. So that is a wonderful way to handle that situation. And we're going to share with you a little later how to handle other situations a little differently. Sometimes you speak up and sometimes you don't. We're going to help you know when is the right time to say something and when is the best time to just process it for yourself and know that you are taking the high road that way. I'm going to share a story of a doctor, something that happened to me with a doctor. And these kinds of situations with doctors are pretty common. And I know that in my parents' generation, nobody ever talked back to doctors. You just believed them. Word was gospel. I had a doctor who had to do a very painful procedure on me. And I had heard that this procedure was worse than childbirth. That's how painful it was. And I had gone through childbirth 4 times, so I knew how painful that was. And I'm pretty good with pain, but when somebody tells me it's worse than childbirth, I take that seriously. So when the doctor said, I have to do this procedure, I want to schedule it for, Monday, because they were scared of some precancerous lesions and they wanted to remove them. I said, great, can I have some anesthesia? And he said, no, you don't need anesthesia. It doesn't hurt at all. He put down my feelings. He diminished what I said. I had done a lot of research and spoken to a lot of women about this, and they all told me this kills. So he had scheduled this procedure, and I went home. I hung up the phone and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I am really upset with how he handled this. He put me down. He said, my feelings don't matter, that it doesn't hurt. He's a guy. How would he know? This was a feminine procedure. He was a gynecologist. And so I called the office back and I said, you know what? I don't want him to do the procedure. I don't like the way he handled this and I don't want him to do it. And I made an appointment with another member of the practice. A few days later, I opened my mail and in it was my entire records from this practice. They dismissed me from the practice. He had been a partner and he didn't like that I challenged his authority. So they dismissed me. That was really upsetting because I was in the middle of a crisis and I got thrown to the street. And so what I did was I might have called the office, I don't remember, but I know that I just took action and called my old doctor who said to me immediately, of course, this is a painful situation. This is a painful procedure and we give anesthesia. And oh my God, what a difference that made. So she honored me, he did not. And I did speak up and I got dismissed. So when you're feeling disempowered in my situation, I took action to find somebody who would honor what I instinctively knew to be my truth.
I love that story, Sandy, and I'm sorry that you had to go through it. One of the things that it really shows is your ability for self-advocacy, which is something we could all learn from. Many of us just take the word of a doctor, we take whatever we're told and we go forward with it. But we both want you to know that if this happens to you, if this kind of situation happens to you, you can use these situations to empower yourself instead of disempower yourself by giving up or giving your power away or shutting down. It's okay to stand up for yourself, even if the other person is powerful or they are someone that you think of as powerful. I've heard from so many clients the devastating effects that a negative teacher or an authority figure has had on their self-esteem, because they can believe whatever that authority figure says as true. It's not true. And as kids, we were never able to speak up to an authority figure. It was considered disobedient. But as adults, we can access our inner power and speak up and not take on what someone else is telling us just because they are a doctor, a lawyer, a spiritual guru, a leader, a teacher. And in these videos and in the Boundaries for Beautiful Relationships program that we'll be offering in March, you'll learn how to set healthy boundaries that protect you and keep you safe and sane.
Mm. This is important stuff. And so I'm going to share our 6 B's boundary blueprint with you. We found a bunch of B's so that it's easy for you to remember. And as always, you don't have to take notes. We have a cheat sheet for you, and it's available below this video. So here's how the process goes. You start with breathing. So you want to calm your adrenal reaction with a few deep breaths. When you breathe, you just slow it all down. The second B is boundary. You want to create a safe space for yourself. You want to create safety. So if you're in a large group of people and it's not okay for you to leave or to address it at the time, it's okay to stay where you are and just don't say anything, because you may not trust what will come out of your mouth at that moment, and it's okay. You don't have to say anything. But if you can get away from the situation, you want to get to either a safe person or a safe space.
I love that, Sandy. I love the idea of safety. The third B is your body. So you're going to take that time to get into your body. How do you feel? Where do you feel in your body? Where is it in your body? Find the feeling and name it. Some common choices when you have felt attacked or put down by a person in authority are: do you feel dismissed? Do you feel disrespected? Are you feeling undermined, undervalued, demeaned? Do you feel embarrassed, or do you feel shame? Are you sad, or do you feel guilty? Or have they made you feel stupid? Or do you just feel afraid? These are all viable body feelings. You want to give them a name. The next B, fourth B, is brain. So we're going to engage your cognitive mental processing. You have to learn and know it's okay for you to stand up for yourself. Just because someone else is in a position of power, it doesn't mean that they get to say or do anything that causes you harm, whether it's emotional harm, physical harm, any kind of harm. The other person only has the power that you've given them in your life. Even if they have many, many followers, many fans, many degrees, as Sandy's doctor did, it's okay for you to stand up for yourself and ask for what you want and be honored. It doesn't make it okay for them to treat you in a certain way that's negative or uncomfortable. The other part of the B in the processing is to ask yourself and ask the situation, what is actually being said, what is happening, and what are the facts?
So important. And, you know, all of this is helping you to really learn to trust your instincts, because a lot of times the popular belief is not true for you. And how many times have you been in the presence of some big spiritual leader or guru? Maybe it's a rabbi or a priest, and they say something and you're like, huh? That doesn't even make sense to me. But everybody else is nodding and saying, oh my God, this is the most amazing person in the world. And your belief system is not the most popular, but it's your truth. And you need to really trust that truth because it is your truth. Mm. So let's talk about the next B, which is the big idea. This is your plan of action. What are you going to do? And what would you like to happen instead of what just happened? So do you set a boundary? Do you address the situation that has already happened? Is this a situation that needs further action? Like, do I need to report it to somebody or tell somebody higher up what's going on? It could be like if you're in a school and you want to tell a higher authority. This happened to me in coaching school. I went to the head of the school to report some teachers because they were being really inappropriate in our classroom. And I felt really uncomfortable. So I reported it. So often that's a great recourse. And the sixth B is begin to trust. Once you learn to trust yourself, you're going to use that instinct and intuition in every situation. That self-trust is so important. Right, Teresa?
Wow, I cannot reiterate that enough. There's too many stories in the news about people in positions of power, whether it's coaches or even in the martial arts industry. Oftentimes, martial arts masters is seen as they know it all, or they're enlightened beings. And people will just go along with what they say or what they do, even though inside they don't feel like it's right. That trust piece is so valuable when you start to learn how to listen and trust yourself. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us today. And please comment below. Let us know your thoughts and your takeaways. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with any of your friends or anyone in your circle that you think might need it. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.